How the heck are you guys? I'm Fastidious. Welcome to my channel and welcome to a Watcher of Realms video. Guys, we're talking fusions today. We're talking Aeon versus Luneria, the current fusion versus the previous fusion. Unfortunately, this fusion in a lot of ways is objectively worse. So without further ado, let's get into it. So by worse, I mean more difficult for no good reason. And we've got 5 clear examples of that here. Starting off with something very simple, the calendar. The Aeon Fusion is only 16 days long, as you can see above me. It went from Monday the 16th, so it started 2 days ago, and it's going to go all the way until the 31st, right? All the way up until Halloween. Very nice end for maybe kind of a spooky hero, but it's 16 days. If we pull up the Luneria calendar, guys, look at that. This is from my interactive Luneria calendar. We have the same thing for Aeon right now if you want to check it out. It's even better. So you can see here, guys, the Luneria Fusion went from September the 1st of this year until September the 18th, a full 18 days, aka a full 2 days longer. So we're going for the same amount of fragments here, not counting getting podiums for the Oracle Trials, 110 fragments. For Luneria, it was 110 in 16 days. For Aeon, 110 in 18 days. Basically, the same things you're going for, you're just gonna be a lot more crunch for stamina and time because you have 2 less days to do it. All right, guys, number 2. So far, the events and tournaments are just way harder. The thresholds you need to hit for fragments are just straight up more difficult. So let's get right into it. Of course, I'm gonna prove that to you. Brave Conquest here, guys. You can see, actually, I just hit the 3,400 points you need for these 5 Aeon fragments. That's a lot of points. If you did the Luneria Fusion or a Solda Fusion, you might be thinking that's a lot, and that is because you are correct. Here's a screenshot from the Luneria Brave Conquest, and as you can see here, to get her 5 fragments, it was only 1,650. So we are talking less than half of the 3,400 it is now, right? It is 1,750 points more now to get the fragments. Let's continue on because I have more examples, of course. This is not just the events, but also the Oracle Trials, the tournaments. If we look at Vault in the Sands, you can see I'm in 6th place now. Let's see, I did get my fragments at 1,100 for Aeon. Guys, it was easy for Luneria. Look at that. It cost only, let me move myself out of the way. Look at that, only 450 points. I mean, that is a stark difference, right? That is way more than double. Double would be 900, and we're all the way up at 1,100. So straight up, it is just way harder so far. All right, guys, number 3, and as you're gonna see, this plays directly into number 4, which is probably my least favorite. But number 3 is going to be the Brave Conquest events themselves. In the Luneria Fusion, we had 3 Brave Conquest events. Here's a screenshot from my calendar again. You can see we had Brave Conquest 1, 2, and 3. They happened throughout the event over those 18 days. Brave Conquest can actually be quite easy to do, especially if you're on higher levels of artifact material raid, even at the higher points, right? Because it's quite easy to grind that out. It's very fast runs. It is very stamina efficient. However, now we have only 2 of those. Let me show the Aeon calendar right now. Here you can see we have just 2 of them. So we're losing 5 more fragments that we used to be able to get from the Brave Conquest in Luneria. From those 3, we only have 2. So where did those 5 fragments go? Let's head to number 4. So guys, for the 4th pretty bad thing that changed from the Luneria Fusion to the current Aeon Fusion, well, where did those 5 fragments go? Of course, they went to a very pay-to-win friendly event. They went to a summoning event. So let me make this bigger so you guys can see. If we look here, before, from our spiritual altar, which is our summoning event, as opposed to the arrival of heroes, which is our summoning Oracle's Trial or summoning tournament, you can see the spiritual altar was 10 available fragments. A lot of people didn't max them out because you didn't have to, but it was only 10 fragments that you were missing out on if you skipped it. Now, if we go to Aeon, I can pull it up here, make it nice and big for you to see. It is all the way up to, there you go, it is up to 15 fragments. So you can see here, right, guys, the spiritual altar summoning event, it is 5 plus then 10. So in total, you will get 15 fragments. So we lost 5 easy to get fragments from Brave Conquest, and they went to the spiritual altar. So what does that mean for us big picture? Well, if we do the math before, guys, from the spiritual altar in the Luneria event, we had 10 shards there, or 10 fragments. Then we had 15 fragments from the arrival of heroes, so that's 25 from the 2 summoning events, and then we had 2 Tales of the Smith for a total of 5 each, 10 fragments, right? So in total, it was 35 fragments. Stick with me. With 110 total fragments you can get, not counting podiums, 110 minus 35 was a perfect 75. So you could actually finish Luneria totally skipping the gear enhancement events, the Tales of the Smith, and the summoning events, the spiritual altar and the arrival of heroes. That means you could go no summons, no gold, and get your Luneria. Now now, because those 5 fragments have migrated from Brave Conquests to Spiritual Altar, if you do the same math, you are left with only 70 total fragments you can get, excluding the gold intensive events and the summoning intensive events, right? Because now it's 15 and 15 from the 2 summoning events, 30, 5 and 5 from the 2 gear enhancement, 10, so 40. So you have only 70, so you are going to have to get 5 fragments from either Tales of the Smith, either the first one or the second one, and then one of the 2 summoning events, the Spiritual Altar or the Arrival of Heroes. It's not the biggest deal, but clearly we are seeing a trend in not the most free-to-play friendly, not the easiest direction. Finally, guys, for number 5, and to be honest, this one is not such a biggie, that's why I left it at the end, but if we pull up our Luneria calendar again, you will see we did have 3 Gear Raid tournaments in this one, and we also have 3 Gear Raid tournaments in Aeon. However, the distribution for Luneria, we had 1 Lost Legacy tournament, so that's a Gear Raid 1 tournament, and we had 2 Gear Raid 2 tournaments for Vault in the Sands. If we look now to the Aeon calendar I've pulled up on the screen, you can see we have Vault in the Sands down here, then we have Lost Legacy, so Gear Raid 1, Gear Raid 2, and then we have Forgotten Palace, which is a Gear Raid 3 tournament. To be honest, this doesn't bother me too much. However, I do think it is worth noting, because I think for a lot of newer players or even early mid-game players, Gear Raid 3 is harder than Gear Raid 2. So this is in some way a bit of a buff to the difficulty of how hard it will be for some people. So yeah, not the biggest deal, but I do think it's worth noting. Last but not least, I did want to end on a pretty positive note and highlight something that's actually an improvement from the Luneria Fusion to the Aeon Fusion. So let me pop open my little Google sheet here. You guys better believe, of course, I am tracking the changes in points needed for max shards, event by event, Oracle's Trial by Oracle's Trial, from Luneria to Aeon. I'll do this with every fusion. I really want to stay on top of it. So you can see here's some of the negatives we highlighted, all the way up from 1650 in Brave Conquest to 3400. As you can see down here with Vault in the Sands, this should be in red. Let me change that right now. That is no good, all the way from 450 to a staggering 1100. However, this is worth noting, Arena from 150 to 150. It stayed exactly the same. However, you could even argue maybe that should be in green, not yellow, because in a way, if you guys caught my secret patch video from a couple weeks ago, it's actually way easier now to get 150 points in the arena event than it was during Luneria. So what do I mean? If I pull up Duel of Champions, you can see here now, it's your typical event. At 150, you will get Aeon. So you see I'm starting to get there. If we look at the exclamation point, you can get way more points now. It used to be only 5 points for a win and 1 point for a loss. It is so much easier now, so do not avoid the arena events. You can win the whole event by just losing on purpose. You don't even have to win a single battle. Win a couple battles and it gets super duper easy. So 8 points per win, 4 points for a loss. So 50 losses would get you 200 points to max out the event. What would it be, like 37.5 losses would get you right there. That would nail the 150 points you need for max shards, those 5 shards for Aeon. So people, you might be thinking, I want to skip the arena events instead of the gold or something because they were so hard last time. They're a lot easier this time. Okay guys, thank you very much for watching. I hope this helps some of you. Let me know what you think in the comments. I did just want to highlight some of the changes that I have seen from Fusion to Fusion. I hope it doesn't keep trending so aggressively in this direction. It feels very Polarium-y, if you know what I mean. So far, I think Montoon's doing a great job. I do think this fusion still will be quite easy. To be fair, the Luneria Fusion was very easy, but you know, it is a bit concerning to see things trending in such a direction. Anyway, I've been Fastidious. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.
Fastidious.